What is up, my fiery amigos? It's your boy GD Inferno here with another IW Zombies guide in 2024. It is the final main quest of the game. This is going to be Beasts from Beyond. Personally, for me, I find this Easter egg to be very easy for the steps, but the boss fight itself is very hard. There are several different strategies people use for this. I'm going to be going through what I did in my game, but again, my strategy versus your strategy is completely different. I'm going to start off with the Fate and Fortune cards as always. The cards I'm running are going to be Punching Bags, 5-second Muscle, Best for Last, Evade, and Ego Trip. Punching Bags is the odd one. Let's take a look at the description of it. It says that for every time you get hit, you earn 100 points. That doesn't seem like a good card to have. I know it doesn't. We'll get back to that. The other cards we need are going to be Scope Dollars, Head Reloaded, Hide and Seek, Get Packed, Second Wind, Twice the Pain, Coupon Clipper, Twist of Fate, or Explosive Touch. All those cards you could run. I'm just going to run the cards I have in my game though. For the weapons, the weapon of choice I would highly recommend would be the VPR Venom. Specifically the Venom. With the perk it has, as soon as you see the prompt to say reload your gun, every time you reload your gun, you're going to get a quickies effect. This is good for the boss fight because it stacks with quickies to give you a faster reload. The other gun I would highly recommend would be the Mauler Sentinel. This LMG variant is the best variant for the gun, and on top of that is the strongest variant in the game, making the Mauler the strongest LMG in the game, or strongest gun in the game. But other guns I would recommend for this would be the FHR-40, any variant works. I use the Windfall, or the EBR-800 Bomber. If you know your IW Zombies history, this was patched a little while ago. It stacks with a little bit of help with the Ego Trip and 5-second Muscle, so it's good to have it for that, but the only reason I don't like running it is because of the ammo. That's the only reason why. The other two guns that are going to be weird to have, but will be very important, will be the DCM-8 Masochist. Now, the description of the gun reads, it has a very big mag, but the more damage you take, the more it refills your ammo. That sounds a little obscure. We'll get back to that. But the final one would be the Stallion 44 Marauder, specifically the Marauder variant. If you completely empty your mag, like down to where you have to reload with 0 bullets, you will be hiding from zombies for 2 seconds. It's like a miniature in plain sight. That comes in handy for the boss fight. We'll get back to that. Now let's move on to the game itself. I don't usually talk about this, but I'm going to start with the start of the game and setting up. When you spawn into the game, you're going to spawn in with cryptids and not zombies. These cryptids don't give you very many points. Headshots are insta-kill, but they are 60 points a kill. Any additional bullets hit on them count as 10 points, so you're really looking at like 60 to 100 points just for one cryptid. It's not the greatest thing in the world. You can't punch them for extra points because they have higher health. So my best strategy would be to camp and spawn until halfway through round 2. For the camping spot, there's going to be that bridge that you see a sinkhole. That's where the cryptids drop from. Stand right in front of that sinkhole. This way you can see those that drop in from there, the spawns that happen to the left, and the spawns that happen to the right. Halfway through round 2, just go ahead and start looking at your points. When you hit at least 2,000 points, go through the left door towards the boiler room and camp in there until you get to the last few cryptids. When you hit 2,000 points, it's going to be around 2-3 cryptids left, so just go ahead and kill them all, and then we'll move on to the next round. Wait till you get 750 points at least, and then open up the door immediately. What we're going to do, we're going to go into the sinkhole. Now, you won't drop to the very bottom, not if you follow what I say. If you just kind of walk into it, you will drop to the bottom, but if you run into it, you'll hit the platform. Go up to this pile of rubble you see here that I'm looking at, then take a hard, sharp turn right. If you keep running into the wall, you'll hit the platform just fine. There is no need to jump here. But when you do fall on the platform, you're going to run all the way to the end of the platform. You're going to see Neil's head in the corner. Pick up Neil's head, and we're going to sit there until the end of the round. Kill cryptids until you hit 1,000 points. Go to Neil's power terminal in the spawn. It's on the right side and not the left. It's closest to the door. Put his head in the terminal, and then we'll have power. At this point, we'll have like 2 to 3 cryptids left, kill them all, and then we'll have a max ammo. Now we can start moving on to the second half of the setup, the points. What I want you guys to do for points is going to go camp in the room with the Bang Bangs perk. This room has a ton of goodies. It has the Bang Bangs, Tough Enough, EBR 800 Bomber, as well as the DCM-8. Now you might be thinking, what the hell does a DCM-8 have to do with anything if all it does is give you ammo for taking damage? It's actually the quite opposite. When you shoot your gun with the DCM-8 Masochist, you take damage. That sounds really bizarre, but it'll help out. You need to camp in there to, I say it's like round 6, round 7, until you have at least 5,750 points to buy everything you need in there, which is Bang Bangs, Tough Enough, and the DCM-8 Masochist. And then once you have all 3, get it down to 2 zombies. And when you do get it down to 2 zombies, activate your punching bags and just fire the Masochist. You'll notice that your points will start flying. Unfortunately, this does not stack with the double points. I had the opportunity once and it didn't help. But with one trigger pull, using both Tough Enough and Bang Bangs, you're going to get 5,000 points with one trigger pull. What will happen when firing the gun, you get all the way down to red screen. And when you're at the total amount of health lost while in red screen, your points will stop stacking. When your points stop stacking, stop firing, regenerate your health to full, and then repeat the process. You can get 20 to 25,000 points if you do it right. This is a mad strategy for getting points in this map because it's so easy. But now we're going to focus on the start of the Easter egg. To start of the Easter egg, we're going to open up Pack-a-Punch first. For the Pack-a-Punch parts, there are a total of 3 bridge parts. The first one is going to be in the room where you find blue bolts. It's going to be right there next to the perk. The second one is in the control room with trailblazers. It's going to be right next to the stairs that lead out of the pit onto the base floor. And the third one, you have to open up the theater section. To open up the theater section, you need to go to this wall here on top of the scaffolding. You're going to see this button. Press the button. You're going to see a giant laser cannon shift from one room to the other. And it'll turn around and blast a barrier in front of the theater. Go ahead and take that door and go all the way to the streets of the theater. On this car right here, you're going to notice the part. Go ahead and pick it up. Now, with these 3 bridge parts, we take them all the way to outside using this 2,000 point door here, and then open up Pack-a-Punch. Now, we can start with Ghosts and Skulls, Skull 1 and 2. We aren't doing the entire quest of Ghosts and Skulls. I'll leave that for another video. But right now, we just need to focus on the first 2. The first one, you need to open up a fuse box using a grenade. This can be the underbarrel attachment using the OSA, or any kind of frag grenade or cluster grenade. If you're too close to the box and you want to use the OSA grenade launcher, the grenade will just bounce off the fuse box and it won't explode and just start rolling away. It's not ideal. So just stand like a fair distance away and it'll explode on contact. You cannot use C4s. I've tried it once with one of my spawns that I had one game, and then it wouldn't open the entire door. It was like very close, like connected to the fuse box, but it wouldn't open. So just keep that in mind. The 3 spots are the one I'm showing you right now in the control room where I tried to open up with the C4. It's right above the P-Law. The second one, you go to the boiler room where you sat there to wait for the cryptids. It's above the entry that leads right into the medical bay. And then the third one, you go into the room with bomb stoppers, aka the control room. It's going to be above bomb stoppers on a pillar. You should see it clear as day. Now, when you explode this box, you're going to see a skull pop out. When it's open, you shoot the skull, and then we can start on Skull 2. For Skull 2, there are a total of 4 X's in the control room. Each player needs to stand on this X for 1 to 2 seconds, and then the skull will rise in the middle. The 4 X's are to the right of the stairs leading from the P-Law, right between 2 crates. It's on the caution tape. On the side platform connected to Trailblazers, it's going to be there on the caution tape. The third one is next to the Exion wall buyer on top of this metal pallet. You're going to see it there. And then the final one is on top of the scaffolding, which is the one I like to use. While every player is standing on this X, you need to wait here and don't move from this circle at all for 60 seconds. The problem with this is that zombies can push you off or maybe down you if you're not too careful. The reason I like the one on the scaffolding where I'm standing, essentially a game of whack-a-mole, where zombies jump onto the rail and then you can kill from there. There are 3 total spots they can jump from: the left, the right, and the middle. You just need to protect yourself here. This is where something like Explosive Touch would come in handy if you want to use it there. But once the 60 seconds has finished, The skull will randomly teleport to one of these 4 spots in the control room. The first spot's just to the right of you, above the stairs that are close to the fuse box. The next one is going to be right below you. The stairs that lead into the pit is going to be right above those. The third one is close to the Exion wall by to the left of it. You have to jump for this one. And then the fourth one is the worst one. You have to go all the way to the other scaffolding and jump from there to grab the skull. Now, when you grab the skull, you have to hold X. I cannot emphasize that enough. You have to hold X when grabbing this. If you don't, you're going to miss it, and then you have to walk all over to it again. If it's the one on the far side, you won't have enough time to grab it if you're doing it solo. So if you have someone like a co-op game with 2 or 3 players, they can grab it and take turns with you if you miss it. When you grab the skull, this random weapon will spawn in the middle. This will be the Entangler gun. We're going to use this for the entire Easter egg. Now onto the steps themselves. For the first step, we need to find 4 floppy diskettes. These 4 floppy disks are going to go into Neo's head so we can turn them off. The locations for these floppy disks are far across the map. The first one, you need to go to Pack-a-Punch Island. To the left of the Pack-a-Punch portal, at the base of a pole, you're going to see the floppy disk there. For the second one, you need a blue Phantom to spawn in. The best way to spawn one in would be go into Pack-a-Punch and then come right back out. When you enter Pack-a-Punch, the game punishes you for doing so. They'll spawn in either a blue Phantom or 3 cryptids. But the first time is always going to be the blue Phantom. I would recommend taking this blue Phantom all the way to spawn. Don't kill it on the spot, or else you're going to have to walk a disc from wherever you killed it, let's say theater, or near Pack-a-Punch Island, all the way to spawn. It's just not going to be the best thing for you. Kill it and spawn, and it'll drop the disc. Now, this disc has a wonky way of flying anywhere and everywhere. So if you kill it in a hallway, it could end up like in the room next door in a grate that you can barely see it. So just keep your eye out for it. The best thing to look for would be hold X to pick up item. That prompt right there will help you a lot. The third one is going to be in the medical bay. Now, in order to enter the room with the ratio, where the floppy disk is, you're going to need to pick up an astronaut helmet. You may notice them all around the spawn room. There are a total of 6. I'm just going to briefly show you real quick. There's like 4 in spawn. There's 1 to the right of the freezer trap close to the barricade, and then 1 closest to the entrance of Bang Bangs. You pick it up with the Entangler gun, and then you need to toss it at the top green screen in the ratio room. If you miss, you can pick up another helmet, don't worry. It'll give you another chance, but as soon as you miss all 6, you might be screwed, and then it's just going to be game over. You have to restart. When you do hit the terminal, the screen will break, and the entire power grid will just fall. And on that desk will be the floppy disk. The final one, we need to go to this vent right here, grab it with the Entangler gun, and you're going to throw it to the back of the entire section. There will be a vent that is sucking in air. You see like a puff of smoke going into it. For my recommendation to get this every try, you're going to pick it up, and then right where my crosshair is, you're going to let go of the trigger, and that will toss it into the vent almost every time. It has to be specifically this spot. If it's too low, it'll bounce off the floor. If it's too high, you won't make it into the vent. Now, when this goes into that vent, there are a total of 6 vents it can pop out. The first 2 vents are to the left of where you threw the disc at. They're right across from each other. The second one, you take the stairs close to the Proteus wall by all the way up, and in the right corner there is going to pop up there. Next spot is going to be close to the Bang Bang's entry door. It's to the left of that entry. The next spot, you go to the cafeteria, and to the left of the freezer trap, there's a vent there. And finally, where I found it in my game, the last vent is close to the mystery box. You'll see it on the floor there. Now, what exactly do you do with these 4 floppy disks? Well, I can tell you. There are a total of 6 slips around the map that will help you put these disks in order. The first 2 are in the spawn. For the first one, you go to the left and take the ladder that goes up to the zombie barricade. It's going to be right there on the floor. The second one, that bridge that leads to where the crypt is dropped in, underneath that bridge is going to be a slip there. The next 2 are in the cafeteria. They're on the white table closest to the barricade. Now, you'll notice these slips are ripped in half. Don't worry, it's not as confusing as it sounds. The first slip matches with the third slip, and then the second slip matches with the fourth slip. These are your 2 slips for the symbols, and in the final 2, you go to the control room where you did the free Venom X quest, and on the terminal where you input the Morse code, it's going to be right there. the last 2 sheets. Now, with these 4 floppy disks, you need to match them to one of these papers. What I'm going to have for you on screen right now is going to be my little cheat sheet for this. And if you don't like it diagonal, don't worry, I have another section where it's just straight vertical. These are all 6 of the sheets drawn out in their correct order. This is meant to physically mess with your mind, because a lot of these sheets are similar. I'm going to talk about the first 2 in Spawn and how this can trick you up really easily. If you notice that the first 2 in Spawn, like the very first 2 symbols in a line, are not the same symbols that are on the first 2 in the one under the bridge, but the other 4 are the exact same. Order of operations is key. On this slip of paper, I put the numbers are next to the symbols to show how you read the papers. You read them from top to bottom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This one right here is a little crooked. That's because I ran out of room to draw this symbol, but it will still read the same way. This goes for all 6 slips. You read it top to bottom. In my game, I had the slip of paper that was on the ladder. And the reason I knew it wasn't from the same as this one is because I had this little symbol right here, the parallelogram one. And this is not on this chart here, so I knew this was my paper. The first one I picked up was the one in Pack-a-Punch. This one was the 4 triangles and a diamond. So I put that one in slot 4. The next one I picked up was the one from the cryptid. The one in the cryptid was the V symbol, so I put that in slot 2. The next one is one from the vents, and that one was slot 1. And then finally the one I had in the medical bay was the X, which is slot 4 in the slip, so I put that in slot 3. If you did this correctly by following the slip of paper and put them in order based on the paper, your entire HUD will go yellow. If you need to look at this chart at any time, I'll leave a link to this chart in the description below. When your entire HUD goes yellow, you've officially hacked Neo. And then what will happen is one of 2 things. The first thing will be he'll shut all the doors on you. You have to manually open all the doors. Don't worry, you're not going to pay points for them. But the second thing that can happen, he can open and shut the doors on you, potentially killing you. Be careful of this. What we need to do now is hack into his motherboard to completely detach his head from the terminal. To do this, we need to find a button. This button is always in the same spot. You go into the theater section, and behind Brute's statuette, you're going to see the button on the wall. Using the Entangler gun, you're going to pick it up and throw it into one of the 4 Beasts from Beyond posters. The first one is next to the ticket booth. The second one's in the arcade section next to the mystery box. And the last 2 are close to the door, one on the inside of the theater and one on the outside, both on the left-hand side. If you by any chance drop the button or miss the poster, don't worry, the button will disappear in a puff of black smoke, and it'll go right back to the spawn where it originally was. Now, we're going to move on to the next step. This can be considered the hardest step in Easter egg, and personally, I don't think so, because it's relatively easy to do. But I'm going to explain it as clearly as I can for you guys. When you teleport the button, you're going to take the fast travel to the right of the KBS Longbow Wallby to go into the room with the laser trap. But now we can enter the ray shielded room again. Under the table where you found the floppy disk, you're going to see the button. When you hold X on the button, you're going to hear this sound. When that sound is made, you go into the medical bay with the cryptid on the table, and you're going to see this bizarre looking switch puzzle. How the switch puzzle works is that every time you hit a switch, more switches will turn, and your goal is to get all the switches aligned to be either vertical or horizontal. There is one great solution to solving this every time. You can choose either vertical or horizontal, it doesn't matter. What you need to do is take a mental note of all the switches. There's always going to be 8 vertical and 8 horizontal. Sometimes it's 9 vertical and 7 horizontal, vice versa. Wouldn't matter. Whichever one you choose, you need to flip all of those that you choose. So for instance, the one I chose in my game was all vertical. Now if you hit all the vertical and or horizontal ones and the puzzle doesn't give you all the switches aligned again, instead of the jumbled mess it was originally, it'll give you a pattern like it did in my game, and then just do the same thing over again. Hit all the verticals and or horizontals, doesn't matter which one, and then the puzzle will be aligned for you. Now we're going to start with the final step. Before we start the last step, we're going to be doing the double pack-a-punch quest. I'm telling you, it will help you out a lot for this boss fight. The first thing we need are the fuses. In the hallway with the Proteus wallbite, there's going to be a fuse box. You can punch this, you can shoot it, doesn't matter. Open that up, it's going to give you the fuses. Pick those up, and now we need to go to the theater section of the map and pick up the Spaceland Volume 1 film reel. This is found on the ticket booth, just in the section with the arcade. It's going to be on that counter there, closest to the bank. Now, we need to go to Pack-a-Punch Island. When you're in the Pack-a-Punch room, you can do this anytime. You need to go to the far left side of the Pack-a-Punch and put the reel on the projector. The projector will now start playing Spaceland on the theater. But it's not just any theater, it's the playable theater. So now we need to go into the theater section with the Entangler gun. As a wise man once said,
"Wisdom is a circle. What you receive, you must give back."
In this case, since we were sucked into Spaceland, Spaceland has something to give us. That's the logic I'm using. This step makes no sense. Anyway, you need to activate the wormhole trap and then use your Entangler to suck out the Brute's helmet in the middle of the wormhole trap. When you pick up Brute's helmet, and then you're going to put the fuses in the hand of the Bigfoot. You're going to take Brute's helmet to his statuette and put his helmet on his head. What happens now is what also happens in Ghost and Skulls, Skull 6 of Zombies in Spaceland. Brute's helmet will charge the fuses. And now you'll have double pack-a-punch. Go ahead and insert them, and then you can double pack-a-punch at any time with any gun. Since we completely detached Neil's head from the server, we can now take his head to pack-punch. To take Neil's head from the terminal to pack-punch, you need to grab it with the Entangler gun. Doing so will cause a system shutdown where all the doors will shut. You need to have Neil's head physically open the doors by having it in front of the doors. It's like a QR code, like he's scanning a QR code to open the door. The problem with this is very buggy, and on top of that, whenever you take his head out, zombies will spawn in that have extremely high health. This is the hardest step of the Easter egg, because you have to carry Neil's head and avoid all the zombies that will be swarming you. Now, the path I take is the best path to take. For this last door, it is the buggiest door. I would recommend just doing a full 360 in front of the door. It works 90% of the time, sometimes it won't. But what's going to happen is if you do a 360, the jank movement of the Entangler gun will push Neil's head outside, opening the door for you. There is a way to stop all the zombies from spawning in. It's a bug in the map. I don't exactly remember how to do it. I just know sometimes it did it without me even doing the steps to do so. It's random. It's completely random. But when you do take it all the way to Pack-a-Punch, there's going to be a computer on the desk. You got to place Neil's head on that desk, and now you can get ready for boss fight. In my game, I grabbed Mule Munchies and two different guns, the VPR and the EBA R800 Bomber. And I also grabbed the Stallion 44 Marauder. You don't have to use Mule Munchies, that's just completely optional for you, but a perk I would recommend grabbing is Deadeye Dewdrops. That will help out tremendously in this boss fight. But when you're ready for boss fight, we can go ahead and hold X on Mule's computer. This will teleport us to the other half of the cargo hold. So the original room that the laser cannon came out of to open up the door for us will now come into the boss fight arena. What's going to happen first is that the game will first spawn you in with rhinos. These rhinos have higher health than the normal Phantom Cryptids. The best thing to do is shoot them in the head. Now you notice I had to cycle through my cards to find evade. I definitely had to refill my card deck at one moment, so I'm not going to be able to use 5-second muscle or best for last in this case, but I'd still recommend having those at all costs. The order is usually the same for when the rhinos spawn in. The first two in the back and then the first two in the front. The first two in the back are always random, and then the first two in the front are always random when they spawn in. But it's always that order, back to front. When you kill all 4 rhinos, refill your ammo, and then you're going to go to the far right corner where I'm going now and just camp there. All the cryptids come out of these portals, and then it's with the VPR or whatever gun you're using, you can camp there and just kill all of them. I wouldn't recommend the bomber at this point. The bomber is for the final boss. But when you kill all of them, the cryptids will stop spawning in, and then you can go ahead and grab some more ammo. Now, there are 2 strategies for this. I like to camp on the slanted box with a hole in it, and not the back. You can camp on the back. I would recommend a higher strength gun with more ammo, like the Mauler Sentinel for that matter, because there will be Phantoms and Cryptids this time, and you could get yourself killed if you're not careful. But camping on this box, all the zombies will funnel into you like a one-way gate. Makes this step a whole lot easier if you're there. Now, as soon as you kill all the Phantoms, you're going to hear this quote.
That looks a lot stronger than a hair removal laser.
Any kind of quote like that will work. It's just saying that the laser that shot the rhino boxes open earlier is now seeking you. So camping in this box is going to be top priority for you until the entire sequence is done. When you hear this quote, another rhino will spawn in, and then moments later you hear this quote. There are 3 terminals that you need to turn off. Bringing out your Stallion 44 Marauder will definitely help you out with this. Also, if you don't have the Stallion 44, or at least if you don't want to use it for this step, that's fine. Hide and seek will work tremendously for this. So the 3 terminals you need to turn off are going to be the one over here, close to the ramp, the one on the opposite side of the arena here, and the one close to where you spawn for the cryptids. When those 3 are turned off, kill everything in the vicinity, and then go to the max ammo box. I'm telling you, having anything with the ninja perk, but specifically the Marauder, is going to help you out a lot. Neil's turret will blast open this terminal here, and then there will be a countdown. What you're supposed to do normally is run around and train cryptids, rhinos, and phantoms for 1 minute and 40 seconds. The best strategy I have for you guys is just to stay hidden. Using the Stallion 44 Marauder, if you unload your magazine and camp next to the ammo box, this makes this step so much easier for you, because all you have to do is unload your magazine, reload, and rinse and repeat for the minute and 40 seconds. Granted, I know not a lot of people like to camp, but this is the easiest strategy for you guys to make it so much easier for you. When that is completely done, you need to hold X on the terminal when you see this set of characters here. It's going to be all like, By the way, you will not hear a sound. That was just me. But when you do activate the terminal, all lights will shut off, and it's the final 2. These are the mammoths. These guys are complete bullet sponges. Remember what I said earlier about EBR-800 and Ego Trip. EBR-800 Bomber and Ego Trip stacked are a very good combo to have. But once that Ego Trip goes away, you are left with a normal EBR-800 killing the mammoths. You'll notice that I killed one pretty quick with Ego Trip, but after I used Ego Trip, it was completely not as helpful. For this step alone, because these are bullet sponges, train around the outside. Don't ever go through the middle. Not often, at least. Because of your max ammo box being right there in the middle. Just train around all the way through. Now, if you need to get ammo at some time, just go ahead and use your Stallion 44 to get yourself some space, and then go ahead and reload your gun. I would recommend pulling out the gun you need, because if you reload the Stallion 44 by sheer accident, it's not going to be good. It's going to be the end of you. Since these phantoms do have a lot of health, it will take a while. Like, my game took 7 minutes just to kill the second one. That's how crazy that is. That's why I would recommend killing the phantoms as soon as they come out of the crate, because if you saw, I spawn camped them a little bit just before they came out, but I didn't shoot it in time to kill them both. That is the speedrunner's trap for it. Towards the end of the game, look at my Fate and Fortune card meter. I went from 66% to full, and I was fiddling with my Fate and Fortune card meter, not knowing that my last bullets of my EBR-800 Bomber ricocheted, killing the mammoth. When you do kill the final mammoth, you'll get this cutscene, Soul Key is yours, and that's the end of the Easter egg. Believe me, this Easter egg boss fight is not the easiest thing in the world. It takes a lot of practice. So if you want to practice something like the VPR, or maybe the Mauler Sentinel in the boss fight, go ahead and do so. I would recommend it a lot. But if you enjoyed this guide, please let me know in the comments. I will see you guys in the next one. And peace out.
You know what to do, Poindexter.
I beg of you, listen for a mere moment!
Zombies in Spaceland, now starring Willard Wyler.
Please, no!
You'll only make
Matters worse than they already appear to be! Countless souls are at stake! We must Ah!